And so, Imran, you seem to be working between two cultures. You make miniatures, but you also use the dripping technique, which is typical of abstract art.
Yeah,
So, I would like you to tell me how you connect these cultures through your work.
I think it was not a very conscious decision. When I went to National College of Arts, Lahore in 1990 to study art, and there I was introduced to this traditional genre of miniature painting. So I thought, but my attitude was very different. Like I was so much, miniature need a certain kind of, it demands certain kind of aptitude and timings and concentration. And I thought maybe it's not for me. And because I was so much social, going around with friends and uh, doing lots of performances at NCA, at the National College of Art with other students, like doing theater, puppetry. And then I was really, my sensibility at that time was more about the other painting, like the contemporary painting or the drawing. And but my teacher in miniature painting was continuously asking me that you should do it because you are really good in it. And you, then I thought, you give a teacher is saying so much, then I should give it a chance and I should try it. I should try this miniature painting. Then I found it when I'm making it. I was doing my painting. I found that it's really interesting because there are things happening in miniature painting when I was painting, when I was making it, which I never thought that I have that kind of abilities or skills, certain skills. So it was a surprise thing for me as well. So, and I started enjoying it. Perception about this art form that miniature painters only do the old historical paintings, and it's not innovative. It's more like a craft thing, and it's not part of the contemporary art. And I said to take it, I will definitely take it as a challenge to break this boundary, and will do some experimentation when I will my thesis project or something like that. And I was doing lots of other experimentation as well, and also used airbrush technique to replace the rendering technique of miniature painting for my thesis project. And uh, the miniature painters, even historically, they were painting what was happening around them. So it was not about painting. The main idea about making an art form is to express whatever you are thinking or feeling about your surrounding and whatever you want to say through your art. And I always do this thing, and miniature is naturally come into my work.
What about what has been called your dripping approach to painting? I saw the project that you have done for the Metropolitan Museum. So how do you match the two approaches?
This is what that my personality is like that as I was telling that I was very social, doing theater, really large scale thing. And I was working with a team of like 25 people and doing a huge production. And then time I was going to my classes of miniature painting and sitting on floor and making one brush with a tiny brush. So I think this dripping uh, is also showing that attitude,
Yeah.
those two different sides of my personality. So I always try to deal with this idea of two different approaches, like life and death in my work conceptually, and then loosely painted abstract marks making uh, along with very carefully painted with the fine brush, very carefully painted and rendered beautiful drawings. And I was always combining them together in my work. And I always enjoy these opposite two sides in my work. So I think the dripping is also portraying uh, that side of my personality.
The last question, Imran. I've seen that you've done a work also at the Sharjah Biennale in 2011.
Yeah.
So in the website of the 11th Sharjah Biennale, I read his work, your work, challenges narrow-minded assumptions and specifically the perceived disparity between miniature painting and contemporary art. So this disparity might be true, but not in your case. It seems to me that your work has been widely appreciated and supported by contemporary art. So what do you think about it?
I think to some extent this is true or this is wrong as well, because if I see back like 14 years back, it was like that there was a certain criteria. People were taking miniature painting as a very exotic form of craft and they were not accepting it. I think it was like, I will talk on the basis of my personal experiences, because I will give you another example that my wife Aisha Khalid, she was in Sharjah Biennale also.
Okay.
So she made the shawl with pins, Kashmiri shawl for Sharjah Biennale. She was doing a residency, two-year work period at the Rijks Academy. Mainly the European people were unable to read the layers of meanings through it, what she was trying to say. But it was, I'm talking about 2001 and 2002.
Yeah.
And but now I feel that people are quite open to see our art form as a contemporary art practice, and it's more acceptable in West, and they really appreciate it and they find it interesting.
Sorry if I interrupt you, Imran. Imran, just a question in the question. But do you think that the Western art world is able to understand, to deeply understand all the layers and all the meaning of your work properly?
It's not about all the layers, because artists think on so many different things, and it's not necessary that everybody read all the layers. But even in Pakistan, people are sometimes they don't see everything which I'm trying to say, but they see lot of thing out of it. So and this is the same in West as well, that they see so many things into the work, but in most of the cases, people are able to see it. Yeah.
Would you like to uncover some layers of your work?
I think the one line is very simple in my work, in my recent work, that I'm always talking about the idea of life and death, or the nature and destruction of nature. And I have been addressing this idea for a long time, but in a very, very different ways. And but then there are so many other. It's not restrict to that specific. There are so many things which are coming and going out of my work. Like it depends on what kind of situation I am passing through, or what things are affecting me. So they naturally comes into my work. And I think the violence is there is so much violence around us. It's hard for me to neglect it and talk something which is completely else. Even when I'm making the work which is based on very, very personal narrative, and it has nothing to do with socio-political kind of situation. Even then, there is some act of violence happening in those works as well.
Yes, but your work doesn't show any violence.
It's not violent. Yeah. So because you want to bring things on your face, I think if you talk in a very subtle way, those things are long lasting, and they keep you thinking later as well. So I think there should be a long-lasting impact of artworks. I think that is how it works for me.
So in your work, you talk about violence, but you sound very positive.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
vision.
the main thing is that in Pakistan, like we had so many chances of going abroad and settling over there, but we decided, me and Aisha, we both were internationally, but even then we decided to stay back in our home country because we are still positive about, and we are about a good future of this country. And I think we cannot live anywhere else.